Kept alive by a tube. Hannah Warren was born with tracheal agenesis, which is the absence of a trachea, the tube that connects the mouth to the lungs. She spent every day of the first 2 years of her life in the intensive care unit of the Illinois Children's Hospital. Hannah has Dr. Paolo Macalini, the director of the Advanced Center for Translational Regenerative Medicine at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden, to thank for the experimental procedure that saved her life. Hannah was the 6th person to receive this procedure in history. She is the youngest as well as the first person in the United States. This was all possible because of the time that we live in. The 21st century will be remembered for many things, but most notably is that it is known as the Age of Information. This is because humans are rapidly advancing in technological terms because of the internet and the ability to share information. Hence, the information age. One of the many revolutionary things that have been created during the information age is the ability to print in 3 dimensions. Today, I'm going to explain the process of 3D printing and how the technology can be adapted to other fields of study. There are 3 main steps to 3-dimensional printing. First, you must know which object you'd like to create. Next, you have to decide between the various ways to create a 3D model and the consequences that they will have. And lastly, picking out which printer and printing material is best suited for your project. My name is Kussman, and I am a geek, an ex-mechanical engineering student. I am currently a business finance major, and I'm sure you're asking me the same question I asked myself. Why not do a presentation on different economic theories or something that pertains to your major? Well, it's because engineering is my passion, and 3D printing is just an amazing technology that I love. Today, I'm going to discuss the process behind 3D printing, modeling, as well as their implementations in society. First, I will explain the different ways that a 3D model can be created. Second, I will expand on the various printers and the printing process. And lastly, I will give an overview of the objects that we have been able to, or just now able to, and will be able to print in the future. 3D, to me, used to mean that I had to wear glasses in the movie theater, and that I could expect things to come to life before my very eyes. I never used to associate 3D with everything around me. The actual stuff that is 3D. Now, I don't remember the last time I went to see a 3D movie, so a 3D object to me means something in the real world. And a 3D model, that means a computer-generated rendering that someone made. And there are many ways to make a 3D model. The most common way to create your own 3D model is to use an AutoCAD software. The CAD stands for Computer-Aided Design. There are hundreds of these types of programs that can be downloaded from the internet. My personal favorite is SolidWorks, with SketchUp by Google coming in close second. Both of those programs allow the user to start from scratch and let their imaginations run wild. SketchUp by Google is a stepping stone CAD software, meaning it's very easy to use, but it doesn't do a complete job, so the product or design has to be transferred to another program to finalize the production. Another way to get a model into AutoCAD software program is by scanning it. Scanning works by placing an object in the middle of an area that is surrounded by measuring lasers. Scanning an object allows a user to create a model much faster than the traditional methods. But scanning has its drawbacks, such as being limited to small objects that will fit within the scanning area. Also, it's limited to objects that don't have any areas that are covered, or where a laser wouldn't be able to see. The biggest advantage of scanning objects is the ease. Scanning allows for really quick molding of everyday items. But by far the easiest way to create a 3D model is to download one from the internet. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of websites online that are hosting thousands of 3D models that were made by people and enthusiasts like you and I. One drawback is that the model's material and size are dependent on the 3D printer that you have. Being able to download and quickly make a part, or really anything, is going to be a major part of everyday life in the future. But the future is now. With a polyacrylic 3D printer, we are able to make just about anything from a toy to a gun out of plastic. These printers work by heating a plastic filament to its melting point and pushing it out a fine tip on a moving platform, laying the plastic layer by layer from the bottom up until the object is complete. While extremely easy, the plastic used by these printers is very flimsy and brittle and very likely to break. But there are more ways to 3D print than traditional plastic route. My first experience with 3D printing came in middle school. Our school had an old powder 3D printer that took up half of the classroom. These suckers took figurative days to print something. They worked by placing a base layer of powder on a receding table. They would gently spray on glue on the powder in the shape of the object you were wishing to print. After completing the glue, it would cover the glue in a new layer of powder and move on to gluing the next layer. These machines were much slower and much more expensive because they're a two-step process that requires both the powder and glue instead of just a plastic filament. The limitation of this method is that the models are very weak, like break in your hands type of weak. There are very few ways you can reinforce the models this way. You can apply a layer of wood glue or liquid enamel to seal the object and to make it sturdy. But this requires an even more expenses, and that is not really necessary. And this is where the whole non-traditional forms of 3D printing are taking shape. The principles behind these methods are the same as regular 3D printing, but they are taking this technology into the future with the objects they allow us to create. Such as a test site in Russia. A company called Apis Core recently used a 3D printer to print a residential house. Printed entirely using concrete, it was the first time a house was made entirely autonomously using a 3D printer. The technology used in Russia is being developed to help make houses in poor third world countries, as well as being considered for use on Mars. But will we be alive to see this machine used on Mars? I think so. Because this brings me to the most important use of 3D printing, bioengineering. Bioengineering is also known as genetic engineering, but the area I'm going to focus on is more engineering than genetic. Stereolithography is new but a promising field of 3D bioprinting. From PBS, stereolithography is the process of using a laser to harden portions of a soup of polymers into a solid frame or scaffold. Researchers then bathe the structure and cells in nutrients and wait for the cells to grow and remodel the scaffolding to their liking. This is an experimental procedure that saved Hannah Warren's life. Her doctors were able to craft a new trachea for her using a 3D bioprinting method. This is just one example of how 3D printing can be used to lengthen the lifespan of humans. Another way is highly theoretical, although we are seeing progress to becoming a reality for humans, is the ability to print organs. Their incredibly complex blood vessels and structures make it near impossible to try and grow an organ, but because 3D printers are so delicate and precise, they are able to reconstruct the complex structures down to the cell. Now for the more controversial area of bioprinting, the material used. Stem cells have been a hot topic in recent years due to their incredible medical applications and how they are obtained. Stem cells are the building blocks for a human body. They are able to be programmed into any cell for the human body may need. In order for 3D bioprinting to advance, we need to advance our views and methods on stem cell research. In conclusion, there are many forms of materials available to 3D print with. First, I discussed the process behind modeling. Second, I covered the different types of printers and materials that they all use. Lastly, I told you about the future of 3D printing and bioengineering. The world is becoming more advanced. As we humans become smarter, we want to extend our lives, and our current lifespan is nearing 100 years. The main killer when you live that long? Organ failure. The fix? 3D bioengineered replacement organs. Thank you.